Hello everyone, this is LW Gaming and welcome to a brand new installment, or I should say returning installment of Future Langrisser. This one we're going to take a revisit for one of the updates we're going to be getting in the next major update, which will be starting in a few weeks if you're watching this in the early access form, but by the time we're releasing it will be in a few days. And by the time recording today is the 23rd of July. And I'm recording this in advance so that way when this video is ready, it will be released on time. So let's get right into what this character is about, because I know a lot of you are pretty eager to know what she does, because in case you guys didn't know, from the previous installment of Future Langrisser for global version, I did mention something like she mess with your class, right? Well, I gotta say, she is absolutely a monster when she does that. So let's see what she's about. So first things first, let's look at her talent and also other things like Gazesuccubus. In case you guys don't know who this character is, she is essentially a evolved version of Ferrokia, or I should say, a higher tier version of her. I should say, and I gotta say, like many of her SR components that she has, whenever she attacks an enemy and she copies the enemy's class. Well, this is still here for in her LR form, but much next level like. So, anyways, Gazesuccubus is part Meteor Strike, Dark Incarnation, and Mythical Realm, and she is going to be a demon and assassin class. And yeah, you can actually change this like at some point in mid battle too. So basically, she could be any class that she wants to. But these are the two that she comes with default. And her talent is called Illusion Bewitchment, which basically increases her damage by 15 to 30% depending on star level. If an ally attacks an enemy with a class advantage on either side, doesn't matter if it's your own side or the enemy side, this will trigger. And if Gazesuccubus has already acted this turn, she can act again, which is once per turn for balance purposes. After taking action, Gazesuccubus can choose two ally units to swap their class types for 3 turns. This effect cannot be dispelled. And then the trigger cooldown is that this can be triggered again after 3 to 1 turn, depending on star level, and the class swap is considered a buff effect, and its duration is reduced by 1 turn when taking damage in combat. So yeah, there are some upsides on this one. So basically, if your opponent trying to like well, not necessarily your opponent, but anyways, if your opponent tries to like I just say dispel, this could work, but at the same time, if it's not dispel, it will just reduce the turn by 1, the duration of the buff. So yeah, basically her class change is gonna be temporarily, essentially. So, however, there's more to this one here. So let's move on to the next part, which is the skills. And I gotta say, her skill lineup of uniqueness is actually pretty nuts, because there's a skill that can actually change depending on your class type. We'll get to that one soon, but as you notice, there's only 2 skills showing here, is because she has a lot of skills and the description is insanely long. And I did not want to walk through all of that just for this one character. So, anyways, she has a 1C skill called Phantom Step Shift. And it's a 3-turn cooldown, 4 blocks range, and it's a single target. And the passive is that Gazesuccubus will not die when receiving fatal damage when she actively attacking, and she'll restore 20% HP instead. And the trigger cooldown is that this can be activated again after 5 turns. And the active component is that this will allow her to teleport to the nearest position adjacent to the target. If the target's class matches with hers, a displacement effect will occur, which will swap position with the target. It increases her attack and int by 20% for 2 turns. After use, she can she will not lose her buff duration. Instead, she will have like a act again going on there, which is makes her pretty strong. So as long as she is matching with the opponent's class, she's gonna enable act again, which makes her really dangerous. Okay, move on to her 2C skill called Enraptured Soul. It's a 3-turn cooldown, and this is the entire field range, and it's a 1-line AoE. After taking action, the nearest enemy hero who has the same class as Gaze is inflicted with lose control. And what happens that when that happens, you cannot control your unit. It's kind of like Apotheosis' debuff back in the day. And the effect is removed when an ally unit ends its turn within one block. And this will last for one turn, which pretty standard amount. And you cannot dispel it, which is pretty tough luck there. But however, if this is done in PvE mode, this effect is replaced with damage taken plus 30% to compensate the the AI in PvE aren't the same way as actual players in PvP. So they had to change that to make it more interesting for PvE. The physical damage on this one, it attacks all enemies in a straight line, dealing 0.3 times AoE damage, and changing their classes to match with hers current class for 3 turns. And this will consider as a buff, by the way, and its duration is reduced by 1 turn when a target takes damage in combat. So it's kind of the same deal, but to the enemies. And also, to make things matter worse, like I said earlier, this is considered a buff, which means if you try to heal it off, it's not going to go away because it is considered a buff. So, yeah, in order, the only you can actually try to dispel is like, hope your enemy has like a thing like Sword Soul, anything that can dispel buffs to get rid of it. But other than that, you're most likely going to die if you try it this way. So, better not. And this also is a complete shutdown against someone like Dragon Slayer, because when hit Dragon Slayer's talent basically revolves around here like class reversal effects. Well, with Gazesuccubus around, he's not gonna have a good time because most of the time he might end up fighting against someone that is stronger than him, which is not a good look for him. Like for example, if he was like an infantry, he's gonna get killed by lancers. Just saying. Okay, moving on. This is the one skill I was really concerned about because there's a lot of stuff we need to look at. But I'm gonna keep it short and sweet as much as possible. So Tuzi's skill called Thousand Face Phantom Eye. It's a 3-turn cooldown across the board, and this skill changes into a different ability depending on the user's current class. When any unit on the field engages in combat against the enemy with a class advantage, the skill's cooldown is reduced by 1 turn. So as long as you're fighting with the advantage, you will be able to reduce your cooldown by 1 turn, which is pretty nice. So that means you have a 2-turn cooldown all the time if you meet that condition. So let me explain what each one does. So if Gaze is either infantry or lancer, the skill is going to be called Soul Capture. It's a 1 turn, it's a 1 block and it's a single target attack, and that does 1.5 times multiplier. And this has no melee penalty, which makes sense because infantry and lancers are typically melee units. This spells 3 buffs, and this inflict passive silence for 2 turns, and there's no way you can dispel it. And if you end up being an archer or assassin, you'll get Fierce Strike, which will ignore guard. And it's a 2 blocks attack range, and it's a single target of 1.4 times. And you do 30% increased crit. You get 2 extra range on the skill if you position yourself in defensive terrain, and you can move 2 blocks after combat. I think the can move 2 blocks after combat is a separate condition, so you do that no matter what, just to let you know. And then if you end up being aquatic or holy unit, you do the healing mechanic on there instead, which is called revival. 3 blocks AoE. And this will basically heal all units within the 3-block range for 5 times of her attack. And this will dispel 2 debuffs from them that you healed with. And then the damage dealt, okay, there's a bit of a weird typing there, but anyways, ignore that. Damage dealt plus 15% will also be gained for those units that got healed for 2 turns. Yeah, I'm gonna fix in case you guys find that really driving you crazy. But anyways, be right back. Okay, there we go, all fixed up. Anyways, moving on, let's talk about like the next part is like, what if Gaze ends up being a flyer or cavalry, you may ask. Well, she gets the skill called Dazzle, and it's a self-cast 3 blocks AoE. And the passive on this one is that the movement is not restricted when you're moving around the certain terrain. Basically, turn her into like a terrain master, essentially. And also, she gains mobility plus 2. And all allies within 3 blocks gain mobility plus 2, and immunity to mobility down, and passive skill silence. Kind of similar to how sprint works, but this is like an increased mobility of 2. which is pretty good for team buffs. And if she ends up being a mage or demon, which at default, this skill becomes Abyss, and the self is a self cast 3 blocks AOE, and this does 0.36 times AOE damage, and the crit is increased by 50%, and this will inflict 2 debuffs to all enemies hit, which is absolutely nuts. And I believe these debuffs will last for 2 turns, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Or it could be more. I think it's just 2 turns. And finally, if she ends up being a dragon or other classes that I have not mentioned, this will become Devour. And it's a two blocks skill and it's a single target. And it's a 1.8 times multiplier. And this will change the target's class. And also this will attack first. Like Gaze will attack first and then restores 30% HP after combat. Removes trigger cooldown from talent. And out of all the choices you have on this skill, the dragon or other classes that weren't mentioned here are the best ones here. So yeah, if you get the dragon class, you're pretty much really strong out there, and there's nothing that can stop you. Aside from like tanks, of course, because you don't do guard ignore in this form. If you want to do guard ignore, you're gonna have to use the archer and assassin class for that. But other than that, this skill is excellent to have because it hits pretty hard, and also you can actually force the target to change class, which is absolutely nuts. And finally, the 3C skill. You might be wondering what is her 3C going to be. It's called Soul Devouring Gaze. 3 turn cooldown, 2 blocks, single target. And it is a command skill. All friend unit class advantage effects are increased by 10%. Ignores guard when fighting enemies with mixed forces. So yeah, if you've been doing mixed forces nowadays, watch out for Gaze because she's going to attack you no matter what. Or actually anybody like actually yeah, I think it's anybody within the range. So when that happens, yeah, be careful. And then the physical damage is that it attacks one enemy, dealing 1.8 times damage. Before combat, converts 3 of the enemy's buffs into random strong debuffs. If Gaze class has the advantage against the target, the enemy cannot be revived after doing combat. And the revive disable only applies in PvP mode, which this has been a standard for a long time. Like they don't allow you to do like a revive disable in PvE because that would be the cheese. So yeah, that this 3C is devastating if used correctly. That is. So if you ever see Gazesuccubus out on the field, be prepared to fight her. Otherwise, you are going to lose. So personally, I don't see myself doing Apex at this time because I'm had to sort everything out on the IRL situation. So I might not make it to the stream. So yeah, if I don't stream for whatever reason, I'll let you guys know what happens. Okay, because things are going different for me. So hopefully things are for the better in the future. But for now, let's just continue with the video. As for bonds, just like the most of the LLRs we have so far, Gaze does not need anyone else for bonds, and for herself, she just needs the class that's shown here, as you can see here. Pretty straightforward. All you need to do is just upgrade her classes, and then you pretty much got her defense and attack bond ready to go. Oh, sorry about that. As for the uses, for PvE, she is a great unit to have to clear certain content, of course. As for PvP, oh, you never know how crazy she could be out there. Like I said in the beginning, Gaze is absolutely a monster in PvP. So I wouldn't say any other way. Like she has everything in her arsenal or kits to make her really stand out. And is she worth pulling for? What who do you think I am? I would say yes, definitely. Like because like look at how crazy her kit was. Like with the class swap for herself and allies and also enemies. Yeah, she is someone you should really pull for because she is just crazy. I the comparing to Dragon Slayer and her, Gaze is even crazier because of the fact that she can switch enemy classes like in a fly, and also if she's fighting against Dragon Slayer is going to die. for sure because of the revive disable as well as the class manipulation, which is absolutely nuts. Now let's move forward to the next part, which is the SP soldiers. So we got three new ones as usual. So the first one we got is Poison Bat Mage. This one is basically like a mostly the same thing that we got used to. So, anyways, let's talk about what this one does. So, the SP Soldier for Poison Bat Mage is that their attack is treated as magic, which is normal. When actively attacking and entering combat, soldiers' attack is increased by 40%. Before combat, there's a 100% chance to inflict a random debuff on the enemy and apply Curse of Wounding on the target enemy. And basically, any heal received is converted into damage dealt to 20% of the healing amount. And this will stay there for one turn. And the additional heroes that can use this soldier are Lucretia, Patricia, Almeida, Kaguya, and Zelgadis. Moving forward, okay, there's a weird error over here. I don't know why it still shows that icon, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and the icon's fixed. So, anyways, we got Hellfire Archer next, and unfortunately, this one doesn't unlock additional heroes. So, all you're getting is just SP, and that's it. Do I consider this a bad thing? Well, not entirely, but let's read what this skill does for SP Soldier Hellfire Archer. After combat, restores 30% of lost soldiers' HP when actively attacking and entering combat. Deals fixed damage to a target after combat. The fixed damage amount is equal to 10% of this battle's total damage. So this isn't too bad, but the thing is, this kind of reminds you of like the past meta where anybody with the Hellfire Archer that can deal like a nasty fixed damage based on the amount of damage it dealt. But this is actually somewhat better, but not really the right move if you want to invest in SP Soldier for this one. So do I think this is worth doing? Maybe not, but it's really up to your preference whether if you need this or not. Most of the time you probably don't need it. Okay, moving on. Let's look at the new SP Soldier for the Faceless. So this time around, we got this that will add additional heroes. So the skill for this soldier is that it increases their attack and crit by 15%. Before entering combat, inflicts the following debuffs on the enemy, and this will basically increases their suffer crit and crit damage. So the suffer crit is increased by 15%, and the suffer crit damage is increased by 10%. If no other enemies are within one block of the target, the effects are doubled. So yeah, the Faceless is absolutely ruthless there in this kind of context. And additional heroes that can use this are Zerida, Omega, Broken Wing Bird, Kirikaze, and Joshua. Man, it's been a while. Haven't seen Joshua for a while. I'm guessing it's because of the meta doesn't really cater to him anymore, but he might actually come back with this soldier, but we'll have to see. Next up, let's talk about the banners that we'll be expecting for this update. So this time around, we got some really nice ones here. So we got Gazesuccubus, of course, for the first week, starting on August 7th all the way to September 3rd. Which will be like for now it's like pretty long time away from by the time of the recording. That's the first week. The second week will be starting on the 14th of August. This will have Saffron and Ilya, and this will be ending on the 27th of August. And this alongside that, there's going to be a wish banner for Langrisser 1 to 5. So yeah, there are lots of good choices here. Especially Ilya is on the radar banner, which there's like a risk factor that goes to it. So like if you end up getting Ilya, then that's excellent for you to pick up. But if you end up getting Saffron, don't feel bad because she's also a decent unit to have, but not on the same level as Ilya. And on week 3, there's gonna be starting on the 21st of August all the way to the end of the major update, which is July 3rd. And this will have Jace and Tabris on the radar banner. And on the Destiny banner, there's going to be Ilya, Celica, and Ricky. And I myself will be pulling for that for sure because Ricky is missing on my main party. can't wait to add him to my party on that banner. And finally, on the 4th week, or actually, wait, I forgot to mention that there's going to be mobile 1 and 2 wish banner for that as well. The Arc 1 and Arc 2 of the Langrisser mobile characters. They will be on the list on the wish in the form of wish banner. And finally, we got the 2 Destiny banners on the 4th week, starting on the 28th of August all the way to September 10th. And this will be featuring Zerida, Girl in the Shell, and Tatalia. And then on the second Destiny banner is a classic of Ledin, Rachel, and Ulta Muller. And then Wish banner of Tensei Heroes. So do I think these characters are worth pulling for the upcoming weeks? I would say there are actually a lot of good ones in here. Like Ilya on the 2nd week is definitely a must grab if you haven't got her already. Jace is a goat for week 3, but if you need someone like Celica still, that's not bad to pick up because she's on the Destiny banner. And then on week 4, this one it's really up to your roster. So if you already got all of them, you don't have to pull for anybody. But if you're missing Zerda for whatever reason or Girl in the Shell, that is the banner you want to pick up. Or even Tatalia, even if you're missing any characters on this list in general, as long as it's a Destiny banner, it's not a bad idea to pick them up at least one time. Because the next time when they come back, you will have an easier time of picking a character you want out of the Destiny banner. Okay, moving forward to the next part, which is what events/changes to expect. So in this update, we're going to be expecting Skyline Tactics coming to the game at some point within the weeks. And then we also have the Daily Gold event, which will be starting on the 1st week. And then on the 2nd week, we'll be getting Floating Realm event, which is Floating Realm Phenomenon event. And on the 3rd week, we'll be getting all Anarchy Gyms Open and Secret Realm Revival event going on. And then also there's going to be an Apex Arena map, which is a new one, starting in this update. And then this update will also add some changes to quality of life. So there's going to be like a Guild War auto reset on Mondays and Thursday for this update. And on top of that, this one was not mentioned in the previous installment, which is that Serena's JP voice will be added for this update. So to those guys wondering like why is Serena not voiced still, well, you can put that worries behind you now because she's gonna be voiced in this update, which is awesome. Because a lot of people said I have PTSD of like having some characters with like voiceless lines, the one that doesn't have a voice at all. Yeah, I kind of have nightmares when that happens because that means that sometimes like they end up doing something that's dumb and losing their role, which is really unfortunate. Okay, next up, let's talk about confessions and exclusives. So the new exclusive this time we have is for Alia, one of the sisters that is like underwhelming at the start, I believe, but she is pretty decent overall. But she really needs some help. And Zilong decided to give her some assistance by giving her an exclusive, which will increases her HP by 10%. When Alia has 2 or more of the same type of fortune, she gains mobility +1, with an additional +1 for each extra same type of fortune. When Alia has 3 or more of the same type of fortune, she cannot die in one hit, which basically makes her like a auto revive kind of thing. So which kind of goes on par with her twin sister, which is Ilya. And upon triggering revive, Alia gains 3 random fortunes, and this can be activated again after 4 turns, which is fair. I mean, honestly, it would be broken if they could allow you to get that revive back after like 1 or 2 turns. Yeah, that would be too insane. But 4 turns is fair. And then the new confession in this update is, of course, Broken Wing Bird, or many of you know her as Hibiscus. But yeah, I still don't get why they would name her like that. I guess it's because of the lore accuracy or something, but it's just really strange to me when I first heard about this. Okay, moving on. There's like some noise in the background, so ignore that. There's like two new casting skills in this update. We got Emperor Lovina, and also the second one is Girl in the Shell. So let's see what these two are. So Emperor Lovina's new casting skill increases his attack by 5%. After deploying an ally, increases their mobility by 2 for 2 turns. So you might be wondering, what did you mean deploy an ally? Well, in case you guys don't know, Emperor Lovina's talent has like a thing where after he take his action, he can choose 2 allies to like, move them to different places. That is called deploy. And with this casting pattern, he's going to be able to give them mobility increase of 2, which makes them really, really dangerous to deal with. So, do I think Emperor Luvina is going to be like a meta at some point? Possibly, but it really depends on what box that you're running him in. Because he is pretty good in this kind of buff. And then we got Girl in a Shell. It increases her in by 5%. When using adaptive infiltration skill to defeat an enemy, gains 1 stack of machine learning. If machine learning reaches its max stacks at the end of the turn, she gains upgrade and improve effect, which is another unique skill that you get from her exclusive. And before we end up this video, there's gonna be I'm gonna have a reminder of like what is coming up next after Gaze goes away. So in the next update, it's gonna be featuring 2 more characters from Langrisser Millennium Wonder Swan, which will be featuring Abishai and Lukeman. And these characters are gonna be good for PvP. Well, do you really need them? It's really totally up to you. I personally would not pull for them unless I'm doing this as a collection purposes. But other than that, these are the paths if you don't feel like summoning for them. But other than that, I'll let you guys decide. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope y'all find this video helpful or informative. And I'll see you all next time.